Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Showshaa, your weekly ride through the entertainment, culture, business, and the headlines that truly mattered. Yes, this is Alamdar Khan, and this week we've got a lot of stories ranging from the golden chickens on Eid sets to the golden globes across the ocean, from food festivals that actually kind of tested your legs to the current, currency notes that are actually going to be dazzling and they will be shining in your wallets. Yes, because that's going to be an interesting journey. And so buckle up because we are going to kick off with some very special family reunion on screen. The first news of the day will be Fahad Mustafa and his dad unite on the screen. Yes, Fahad's son duo Fahad Mustafa and Salahuddin Tonio finally shared the screen at Aag Lage Basti Mein. Yes, Aag Lage Basti Mein 1. That's the first film that actually is going to come up, but not to forget that Fahad Mustafa teams up with his father on the screen, and it has never happened, and it's surely going to be released on Eid. Eid's release, definitely, that's how we work, but nonetheless, the teaser is actually focused more on Fahad Mustafa, Umaira Khan Javed Sheikh, and the debutante of Tabish Hashmi. Yes, hinting a mix of comedy and drama. I hope that it's going to be an interesting journey, and Tonio's role definitely is going to be a small, obviously, but nonetheless, the character defines the details under the wraps, and yes, it's going to be an interesting journey because the father and son are coming onto the screen for the first time. Well, the story revolves around the golden egg, laying by the chicken. That's the golden egg chicken, actually testing the character's greed, morality, and all the moral values alongside with the laughters, tensions, and the chaos. So nonetheless, we are surely looking forward to this movie this coming Eid. Well, the second news is surely interesting because Zardari Saab is in Bahrain. Yes, the strengthening ties and the expanding opportunities from Islamabad to Manama, Pakistan and Bahrain chart to a path for investment, security and partnership. Yes, President Asif Ali Zardari visited Bahrain from January 14 for hours for 4 days. Yes, he is there obviously for 4 days, and he is actually meeting the King Hamad and the Interior Minister and the officials at the Economic Development Board. That's the whole idea because they are planning on obviously strengthening ties between Pakistan and Bahrain, and obviously Pakistan's strategic connectivity is the linking path, which obviously the South focusing more on Pakistan. Let's talk about that because Pakistan is obviously in the middle of South Asia, and yes, it's the linking path. So empowering one another, I think the explored opportunities in agriculture, IT and the renewable energy, infographics, tourism, healthcare and infrastructure are the key things that they're going to talk about. And King Hamad awarded President Asif Ali Zardari Bahrain's highest honor in the order of Sheikh Isa bin Salman Al Khalifa, obviously the first class, and praised Pakistan's role in regional and Islamic causes. President Zardari acknowledged 116,000 Pakistanis in Bahrain as a vital bridge to the bilateral relationships, and the situation grows more greener. Well, looks like President Zardari's visit wasn't just about the handshakes and the photo ops. I think it was a half-course banquet of diplomacy, investment deals, and honorary medals. Even the Pakistani community in Bahrain got a VVIP shout out. From suits, summits to the state honors in Bahrain to sets, scripts, and obviously some very real off-screen drama right here at home. The next news is very interesting because it's from lines to likes. Yes, Pakistan's veteran actors and the young stars are clearly having a clashing situation and the teaching moments, and they are actually getting lost in the translation. Yes, Sabah Faisal and other senior members actually are right now remembering and learning by what they had learned from their legends, taking advice seriously and respecting on-set's discipline and style, because that is something that has been vanished today. And addressing that, obviously seniors like Nadia Afghan and Syed Muhammad Ahmed complain about latencies, because there are a lot of actors who are coming, late at the shoot, which obviously is going to be a big problem, and obviously skipping rehearsals, because that's the biggest clash, because once we are in the industry as actors, you have to follow the personal etiquettes. Yes, the new stars sometimes are those who are not taking it very seriously, and they do not even take criticism or any sort of conversation that, because they feel disrespected, specifically when they're told by a senior companion, a veteran. And obviously, Alize Shah is on number one. And not only that, obviously, Nazish Jahangir also have spoken about the public critiques, and they're looking for mutual respects. But the point is, I believe that mutual respect comes both ways. the youngsters need to address and respect the elders, for sure. And yes, the next news is interesting because it's about Karachi Eat. Who doesn't like to eat? Yes, food festival, or, the reality is that is it a foot marathon? Because, it is definitely has been working for so long, and it has music, rides, and all sides of chaos every year. But once the city tops the food fest, it comes to that point. The Karachi Eats has actually slightly disappointed a lot of attendees because there's a lot of walk, a lot of dust, a lot of petty thefts, a lot of crowded situation in a poorly organized section. But nonetheless, regulars are pretty much flowing in that direction. And regular festivals, obviously, people say that, they are good. But nonetheless, I've been to the Karachi Festival or Karachi Eat to Islamabad Eat, because the point is, you also have to park the car way, way far behind. So it's pretty much more like a marathon. But nonetheless, people are still talking about the fact that, they need to come up with a different innovation. But the opening day obviously was, a surprise, obviously, and the day 2 and day 3, there was a lot of heavy crowd, and, the long distances between sections. Not only that, for people to walk from their cars to the entire, area where the event was happening was definitely a wild situation, and there's a lot of debate on social media about it. But nonetheless, when you're going there, it is what it is. And yes, there was concert by Asim Azhar, Hassan Rahim, Havil, Asher Wajahat, and Summer. Obviously, there are so many people who are there, but nonetheless, there's a lot of overshadowing situation because, they overshadowed the food. But like I said, it was a very chaotic situation, but people pretty much call it more like slightly a disaster, but not a disaster. Karachi 2026 is like where your stomach says yes, but your legs scream like, why me? Please don't. Because by the time you walk from your car to the festival and then you eat and then walk back, everything is, nonetheless, it is what it is. Another news states that, yes, Pakistan's money gets a new makeover. Yes, we're not taking the money or the bills abroad somewhere to get the makeover done, but from the old bills to the shiny thrills. Yes, Pakistan is redesigning the currency. Yes, the federal cabinet actually gave a green light for the new designs of Rupee 100, Rupee 500, Rupee 1000, and Rupee 5000 notes after PM Shehbaz Sharif cleared and chaired the meeting and stated, for sure, go for it. And yes, new notes will follow international standards with advanced security threats because of the fact that, as time is changing, we need to focus on that. And that's one of the reasons how we can actually fight the counterfeiting. Yes, banknotes will be showcased in Pakistan's regional diversity, historical landmarks, climate change, women role, and yes, the national development part. And the cabinet committee also reviewed the designs carefully before circulation. Yes, it will be a very interesting journey, but definitely it would probably look like monopoly money, but it would be more classier than before. So get ready to check your wallet soon, because Rupee 500 might look more fancy. I mean, you'll hesitate to spend it though, but it is what it is. But I guess I'll frame it. Yes, Pakistan's currency is getting a brand new look. And speaking of things that you will never lose, the value, let's hope that it doesn't lose the value, because we are still in the process of going in the right direction. And from the acting field, yes, Behroze Sabzwari, his 50 years of acting magic. Yes, half a century of screen, Behroze Sabzwari celebrates 50 years in the Pakistan entertainment industry. Yes, the veteran actor Behroze Sabzwari marked 50 years in showbiz, and the star-studded ceremony was hosted by Lifestyle Journalist Association, attended by actors, a lot of diplomats and colleagues from multiple generations, obviously in different directions, from Radio Pakistan to dramas like Khuda Ki Basti Tanhaiyan, Ankahi, and dozen more of films, including Dilwale and Punjab Nahi Jaungi. Yes, Sabzwari's character, actually Kabacha, is one of the super character we cannot forget. Not only that, Mangu, of course, is one of those. But nonetheless, we are so happy and grateful for the fact that, he has finally reached that landmark. And obviously, Javed Sheikh also praised him because he also mentioned that, he is a dedicated artist and a loyal friend. And yes, Bushra Ansari ji also called him, one of universally loved human beings, alongside Rubina Ashraf also shared the same supportive point of view in terms of, him and, him supporting her during her illness. Anyways, we're so happy that, we have inspirations like these. Like I said in the previous news, yes, our youngsters need to focus and learn from our seniors. Yes, respect. We got to give respect to get respect. What about his son, Behroze Sabzwari? Yes, he also credited his father, and definitely he's learned from his father. And his passion obviously rises from his Baba because of the fact that he's his son. And yes, Behroze Sabzwari career is the major masterclass in versatility, radio, theater, TV, and films. And if acting did not pay enough, he could have sold you a car, or maybe 50 years later, Kabacha still lives in our hearts. That is one thing that we will never forget. Back in the times when there was not even Netflix, but nonetheless, I think he played his part in a very genius way. And yes, talking about the Golden Globes. Yes, Adolescence actually sweeps the Golden Globes. A very intense it's a binge-worthy, award-winning series that obviously took the Golden Globes. Specifically Netflix Adolescence actually won 4 Golden Globe Awards, including the Best Limited Series. And obviously the co-creator Stephen Graham also took home a Golden Globe for his performance. Graham and Jack Thorne also hinted in the possible situation in the continuation of the series, because initially it was a limited series, but because of the fact that it came to this point of creating that legacy, that they got themselves 4, taking 4, not 1, not 2, not 3, 4. I think Golden Globe is a big deal. But nonetheless, now they are also hinting and trying to maybe focus on the fact that maybe they create something different. But in my personal opinion, all the series that I always, and the shows that I see, I always believe that the first season is always amazing, but nonetheless, the problem comes when you are, trying to push too hard to switch to the show 2 or the season 2. But nonetheless, if we talk about, the major hits, obviously it had more than 146 million views in 91 days. So I think that, like I said, it's crazy, it is possible, because if we go back into time and if we talk about a series like La Casa de Papel, obviously Money Heist, initially when they started, they were supposed to be a flop, but once it came to Netflix, it became a super mega hit. And then slowly and gradually, as they grow older and created more seasons, they kind of lost their touch. But nonetheless, they are praised for the hard work. And obviously, if you haven't seen Adolescence, please go check it out. And yes, another news, US President also announced that any country doing business with Iran could face a 25% extra tariff on all trades. And yes, that's what his tweeted, that's what his tweet said. But nonetheless, there is no official work on it, or maybe no official paperwork as yet. But there is nationwide protest about the whole situation, and it has also, protests have rocked Iran since 28th of December, triggering by sky-high, inflation by almost 40% and collapsing, obviously, the whole situation right now. And the value is definitely going down. And the food scarcity is actually going on the higher side. Not only that, the pricing is actually going way higher. And yes, human rights groups are also trying to maybe create that situation, because, they are also in the situation to somehow or the other get this all situation under control, which is technically very difficult. And China also condemned the threat, to be precise, and promising the countermeasures, because right now obviously China is also playing that part which everybody sees. And yes, G7 and the Amnesty International also alarmed the whole violent situation created right now. But like I said, it is what it is right now, and we're focused on it, because the flights also and the embassies also interrupt, and everything is a chaos right now for them. But let's hope for the best and pray that things go right for them. Well, yes, another news that is pretty much serious, because when we talk about people who actually are working pretty much against the country, they are out there, and the propagandists, people who would actually create stories like never before. I'm going to talk about Raftar TV. Yes, Raftar TV actually is giving their anti-Pakistan sentiment through their whole controversy in terms of creating a picture that obviously is falsified in so many ways that, it's surprisingly I'm personally surprised to see. But nonetheless, Adil Azhar, who is a leading figure at Raftar TV, he's probably creating that chaotic situation. And he said that, I think India will hit us really hard there. And immediately after that, this ceasefire, we can say that, we had received three sixes over the last over. So I don't even understand why he's trying to create that hypothetical situation, and anti-Pakistan sentiment. Furthermore, he also said that, I really feel that after this 2025 conflict, Pakistan's geographical vulnerabilities have been exposed. I'm sorry, but why? What are you thinking, and what exactly is your point of view in terms of talking against the nation? If you have any proofs, because there are a lot of people on Twitter right now talking about the whole situation, they're like, if you have any legit proof of, in terms of what you're saying or what India says, because you're following the legacy that India tells you to, we are surprisingly surprised for the fact that, Raftar TV has been doing that, creating that whole situation against anti-Pakistan sentiments, and a lot of people are criticizing them right now, and people are very clear because the netizens are obviously discussing and fighting over the fact that who are these people, how are they being paid, and creating a chaotic situation and creating a misinformation amongst the group of people is pretty wrong. Come on, I don't think it's feasibly liable. If we realistically talk about, even people from India are like that, we feel that they are on a very different payroll, which obviously we also see. And not to forget that if we really talk about the whole situation in terms of how Pakistan actually defeated India till now, if you're going to talk about 2025, we're going to focus on definitely 4 Rafales down. Yes, if we talk about 4 Rafales down, it's not only us. President Trump also mentioned the same, that 1, 2, 3, 4, there were this much amount of, that is the truth. And if you want to run away from it, it's absolutely fine. Even, if you talk about Lockheed Martin and the other firms involved, they also mentioned, this amount of planes that went down. And even Indian journalist states that, they went to this Indian officer stating that, how many planes did we lose, like the Indian Air Force lose? And he said, sir, if I tell you, I'll tell you, but then I'll have to kill you. So see, that's the whole situation. 4 Rafales down, 1 MiG-29 down, 1 Su-30 down, 1 Heron recently, the drone that we downed, and 2 S-400, they were destroyed. And the realistic part is, if we talk about the whole situation right now, Pakistan's situation in terms of their warfare and the whole situation is, we believe in peace. But the point is, if you are going to be out there talking and creating situations like Raftar TV, obviously it would definitely be something that you should be accounted for, and you will be definitely discussed and asked about, why did you do this? So nonetheless, I would personally think that it is what it is. It's a very technical situation right now, but like I said, there are a lot of people out there trying to create that whole drama and fake news and propaganda, so I believe you won't fall for it. But anyways, this would be the end of the show. If you have any comments or feedback, please do let us know. Till then, take good care of yourselves. All the best. Bye-bye.